Good evening. My name is Jackson Pearson,
My name's Hunter Sandberg.
and tonight we're going to be talking about Girouard v. United States, Supreme Court case that happened in 1946 amidst World War II, the ends of World War II. Um, so, just a quick little agenda. Tonight we're going to be identifying parties of the case, stating the facts in the case, going over legal issues that are related to religious freedom. Um, we're comparing this case to a previous Supreme Court case, and we're also sharing our opinions. So to identify the parties, um, first we have Girouard. He's a Canadian native. He's not a U.S. citizen. He was a member of the Seventh-day Adventist Church. He was a pacifist due to his religious beliefs. He refused to bear arms for the military. And our other party was the United States of America, specifically their immigration and naturalization authorities. There was a previous precedent that a citizen candidate must be willing to bear arms while serving the country to be granted citizenship. Um, Previous decisions in a lower court decided that Girouard was not fit to be a U.S. citizen. So then it was brought to the Supreme Court. So to go over the facts of the case, um, Girouard was willing to serve in the United States military for the required time as a non-combatant to gain his citizenship. His district court granted Girouard citizenship, but the Court of Appeals revoked his citizenship, citing that a citizen candidate is required to bear arms to earn their right to be a citizen. The Supreme Court of the United States decided to review the two court decisions to ensure their constitutionality. Um, and the ruling ended up being an alien who is willing to take the oath of allegiance and to serve in the army as a non-combatant, but who, because of religious scruples, is unwilling to bear arms in defense of this country, may be admitted to citizenship under the Nationality Act of 1940. Here we have a picture of Justice William O. Douglas. He's the one that delivered the opinion for um,
Mhm.
Girouard's citizenship. So a key change that happened when this decision was made was that it overruled three previous precedents that were set by the Supreme Court. Um, the U.S. v. Schwimmer case, U.S. v. McIntosh, U.S. v. Bland. And this new precedent set by this decision allowed moral and religious pacifists to become U.S. citizens. The opinion given by Justice William O. Douglas stated that the statutory oath requires one to support and defend the Constitution and laws of the United States, not specifically to fight with weapons. Defending the nation can take many forms: engineers, nurses, doctors, chaplains, factory workers, etc. Refusal to bear arms is not necessarily a sign of disloyalty. The Constitution, Article 6, Clause 3, forbids any religious test for public office. So it would be absurd, Douglas argued, to allow pacifists to serve in Congress but not become citizens. And the dissent given by Chief Justice Harlan F. Stone, stated that he strongly disagreed with the overruling of the precedent set and defended the stare decisis. Congress, with full knowledge of our previous decisions, has not seen fit to change the law. It is not for us to change it under the guise of interpretation. He read the oath of allegiance to mean full willingness to defend the United States, including by force if necessary. To him, saying, I will support and defend the Constitution, meant being ready to take up arms when the country's survival is at stake. Stone was concerned about the court substituting its moral preferences for the will of Congress.
All right, and here we have a fun fact, but maybe not so fun. Chief Justice Stone happened to die on the exact day that the court ruling was finalized. Props to him for standing firm in what he believed right up until his death. All right, and then here I'm going to go over the legal issues related to religious freedom. The main constitutional issue in Girouard versus United States deals with the free exercise clause of the First Amendment. This part of the Constitution protects people's rights to practice their religion without the government getting in the way. The big question in this case was whether the U.S. government could deny citizenship to someone just because their religious beliefs prevent them from promising to fight in a war. James Girouard was a member of the Seventh day Adventist Church. Like many Adventists, he was a conscientious objector, meaning his religion taught him not to take part in violence. He still wanted to serve the United States and was willing to work in a non-combatant role, but he could not swear that he would take arms for the country. At that time, earlier Supreme Court cases like the U.S. versus Schwimmer and the U.S. versus McIntosh said the government could not or could deny citizenship to people who refused to promise to bear arms because of their beliefs. And this created an important question. Does denying citizenship to someone because their religion prevent them from fighting in the war violate the free exercise clause? Supreme Court eventually said yes to this. The court explained that Congress never meant to keep people out whose religious beliefs stopped them from using weapons, especially when they are still loyal and willing to serve in other ways. This decision showed that in the United States, you should not have to give up your religious beliefs in order to become a citizen, even when those beliefs include refusing to take part in violence.
So here's a little comparison of Girouard versus the 1929 case, U.S. versus Schwimmer. Um, the main differences that we saw were the view of loyalty. In the Schwimmer case, um, it was decided that true national loyalty requires willingness to fight, and that being a pacifist meant that it was not true allegiance but conditional allegiance. But in the Girard case, the Supreme Court ended up deciding that allegiance is measured by devotion to democratic principles, not by military readiness, and that pacifism can be a moral strength, not disloyalty. Another big difference is in the case. One of the main differences is the role of religion. Um, in the Schwimmer case, there was no specific religion that Schwimmer believed in. She was mainly just a pacifist by morals rather than by religion. In the Girard case, he was very strictly following his Seventh Day Adventist values in that religion that he followed. And the last main difference is the national security climate. Schwimmer was in a post World War One nationalism, where everyone was afraid of un-American ideas, and Girard was in a post World War Two world, um, where they read the recognition of conscientious objectors serving honorably in non-combatant roles.
Okay, here is my personal opinion with this court case. I agree with the court decision in Girouard versus United States because it protects religious conscience under the First Amendment. Girouard wasn't refusing to obey the law. He simply couldn't promise to bear arms due to his religion. Denying him citizenship would effectively punish him for his religious beliefs. He was also willing to serve the country in a non-combatant role, showing loyalty and responsibility. Citizenship should not require someone to be willing to kill. Loyalty does not depend on a willingness to fight. This ruling reinforces that religious accommodations are consistent with American values.
And I also believe that the court made the right decision. And I believe that they preserved and followed the Constitution while still at the same time ensuring the safety of the United States in a post-war era. In a time where safety was a big fear, I believe that constitutional ideas are at risk due to the masses being willing to give up freedoms to feel safe. While I respect the opinion of Chief Justice Stone greatly, I'm very grateful that the Supreme Court made the decision to protect religious freedom in this country and set new precedents for the time that fortified the constitutional rights to freedom of religion and this decision setting up future generations with the freedoms that we have today. Thank you.
Thank you.